All right, let's talk about it. The single most frustrating part of learning chess. It's not about some grand, complex strategy. Nope. It's about watching your army just disappear, piece by piece. Think of chess as a battle. And if you're a beginner, you're probably losing your best soldiers not because of some brilliant enemy plan, but because of, well, simple carelessness. So today, we're gonna build the mental checklist you need to stop those mistakes and keep your army on the board.
So why does this keep happening? You know the feeling, right? You set up your pieces, you've got a decent opening, and then bam! Your powerful rook is just gone. Or even worse, your queen vanishes off the board. It's a feeling every single chess player knows, believe me. And for new players, it almost always comes down to one fundamental and totally fixable mistake.
Okay, so let's just lay down the law right here. This is our golden rule, our prime directive. Forget about finding those brilliant checkmate in 10 moves for now. The real goal is just to eliminate the simple, disastrous ones. I'm telling you, mastering this one idea is the biggest step you can take from being a beginner to an intermediate player. So what is this number one mistake? Well, it's what we call a blunder, letting your valuable pieces get captured without putting up a fight, or for a really bad trade. You're basically just handing your opponent free stuff, and a huge advantage. And the very first step to stopping these blunders is to understand what your army is actually worth. So let's think like a general for a second. You command this whole army, but you also have to manage its budget. Not every soldier has the same value, right? A pawn is like your basic infantry, but a queen? She's the heavy artillery. To make smart decisions in the middle of a battle, you need a quick way to know what every single one of your assets is worth. And here is the tool that's going to help you manage that budget. This super simple point system is the foundation of so much chess strategy. A pawn is your basic unit. It's worth 1 point. Easy enough. Knights and bishops, those are your special forces. They're both worth about 3 points. A rook is like a tank, a heavy hitter, worth 5 points. And the queen, well, she is the ultimate weapon, a whopping 9 points. You've got to burn these numbers into your brain. They're going to be your compass for pretty much every decision you make. Now, you probably noticed a very important fella is missing from that chart, the king. And that's because his value is, well, it's infinite. You can't trade him, you can't spend him, you can't sacrifice him. If your king gets captured, the game is over. That's it. So his safety isn't just a priority, it is the priority. It trumps everything else. But let's add a really important detail here. These points are a fantastic guide, but they are not an absolute unbreakable law. Context is everything. A piece's position on the board can totally change how valuable it is. I mean, think about it. A 9-point queen that's trapped in a corner and can't move? She's basically useless. But a little 3-point knight that's deep in your opponent's territory causing all sorts of chaos? That piece can be an absolute game-winning monster. So always think about position, not just the points. So, knowing the value of our pieces is step 1. Step 2 is understanding the common traps. You know, the specific ways our pieces end up getting captured. How does it actually happen? For beginners, it almost always comes down to one of 3 simple recurring mistakes. I like to call these the 3 horsemen of the beginner chess apocalypse. You've got hanging pieces, forgetting defenders, and making bad trades. Let's break down exactly what these mean so you can spot them in the wild, and more importantly, avoid them in your own games. First up, the most common blunder of them all, the hanging piece. A piece is hanging when you move it to a square where it's completely undefended. It's like a lone soldier wandering into an open field. It is literally just a free gift to your opponent. So before you take your hand off a piece, you have to ask yourself one simple question. Can my opponent just take this for nothing?
Okay, the second blunder is a little bit sneakier. This is when your piece looks totally safe because another one of your pieces is defending it. But what happens if your opponent captures the defender first? Suddenly, your safe piece is now a hanging piece, totally exposed and vulnerable. You've got to pay attention to the entire chain of defense.
And finally, we have bad trades. This is where those budget management skills become absolutely critical. Trading your 9-point queen for a 1-point pawn is like trading a sports car for a candy bar. It's a disaster. But trading your 3-point bishop for their 5-point rook? Now we're talking. That's a profitable deal that puts you ahead. You always have to do the math before you make a capture. Okay, we know the mistakes. We know what not to do. Now let's shift gears and talk about the solution. How do we actively prevent these blunders? It all comes down to a change in your mindset, from thinking only about attack to mastering the art of defense. Protecting your army is just as important as leading the charge.
So when an enemy attacks one of your soldiers, what are your options? Well, you've basically got 3 choices. The first is direct defense. Just bring in another piece to guard it. The second is the simplest of all. Move away. Just run to a safe square. The third is a little more advanced. Counterattack. That's when you ignore their threat and create an even bigger threat of your own. Just be careful with that last one. It's powerful, but for beginners, it can sometimes blow up in your face.
And now let's talk about the ultimate form of defense, the one that rolls over everything else. It all comes back to our VIP, the king. See, protecting him isn't just part of your strategy, it is the strategy. All of your other plans, all of your attacks, they're all secondary to making sure your commander is safe. And what's the single best move you can make to protect your king? Castle, and do it early in the game. Castling is this fantastic 2-for-1 special move. First, it tucks your king away into a safe little fortress behind a wall of pawns. And second, it activates your powerful rook, getting it out of the corner and into the fight. You do not want to leave your king stuck in the middle of the board. All right, we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked piece value, common mistakes, and how to defend. The real key now is to turn all this knowledge into an unbreakable habit. And we're going to do that with a simple pre-move checklist that you need to burn into your brain and use before every single move. And here it is, your 3-point safety check. First, is my piece safe where it's going? Is it defended? Second, what is my opponent trying to do? Seriously, forget your own brilliant plan for just a second and look at what they're threatening with their last move. And third, is this a fair trade? Do the math using that point system. Is this a good deal for me? I promise you, asking these 3 questions every single time you move is the habit that will completely transform your game.
So what's the real secret to getting better at chess? It's realizing that a good defense is the foundation of a good attack. It's not about the one brilliant move you find, it's about the dozen terrible moves you avoid. When you treat your army like a valuable resource, you make sure you have enough strength left on the board to deliver that final blow. So you're the general. Are you ready to lead your army to victory without leaving any soldiers behind?